going to talk about how secure is your agency's network. Um, any questions that you might have, please feel free to ask those and we'll get them answered after the seminar. So on the agenda for today is, can you afford a security breach? We're going to talk about just some what we're seeing out there across the across the nation and across the world, really not just the industry, and what those costs actually add up to. Kind of staggering. Current threats and concerns. What are the big things that we're seeing out there that people are just getting tripped up on? These people are spending all this time making viruses and spyware and coming up with these websites and emails that are very, very tricky. And we're going to give you some tips on how to avoid those and what you watch out for so you can educate your people and hopefully keep your system cleaner. Protecting yourself on the internet, very, very key. Most of the software that everyone uses nowadays is all web-based. So protecting yourself on the internet is vital in not only staying efficient in today's world, but keeping yourself safe from potential data loss and identity theft. Protecting yourself from your employees. We usually have some people snicker when they hear this, but you'll see some information that really shows that this is actually a bigger threat than the people outside that are trying to work their way in. And security on the go. It's a fast-paced, busy world, and with all the different gadgets and devices and wireless services out there, there's many, many options for working on the road, but people usually forget about the security aspect and just think about the convenience. We'll give you a handful of good tips and things that you can and should be doing that are going to protect yourself even more when you're out there, out and about. So, since 2005, there have been nearly 350 million personal records that have been exposed. And this was a stat we found from the Privacy Rights Clearinghouse in a little while ago last year. Whenever any company that's publicly traded has any kind of a loss or an exposure of personal records, they have to disclose that. So you can see it's a huge, huge number. But what this isn't really saying is the lost confidence in those companies. I personally haven't had my credit card company having exposed or announced records of ours exposed. But if they did, I would surely be looking for a different company that I'd feel had better security practices, because I don't want my information out there if I don't have to. Total cost is an average of about $182 a person a record. And what that really means is the cost from having to go through the formalities of actually making these announcements, average cost based on how many people leave. You can see that's an increase of about 30% from 2007. And the average cost of reporting company was about $4.8 million. Now, sure, there's a lot of big companies that have had these, and that's why the average is so high. But just imagine how many customers you would have to announce to that their personal information was exposed. There's still thousands and thousands of customers, and how many of those customers would still feel safe working with you if they found out that your agency had their information exposed? It'd be tough for a business to continue after. An ordinary notebook holds content valued at about $72,000 in commercially sensitive data. You'll see in a second here how many notebooks are stolen all the time. But it's not the computer that's the expensive part. It's all this information. It's the cost you have to go through when you're just gathering all kinds of customer information. The licensing for your software is usually a big, big deal. The time it takes to build up your contact lists, everything you have in ACT, and so on. That's also including the time for the sensitive data to be put together. And then any kind of proprietary data you have. If you've got your forms, your reports, and this and that, that's now out in the world. And it's not really proprietary anymore. And on average, the cost of preventative measures is 4 times less than the cost of a breach. Historically and unfortunately, the time when we see most antivirus systems and anti-spyware systems and mail archiving systems and internet protection systems are sold are after the fact, or after there's been a problem, after there's been a need for them. And it's definitely proven that the cost is much, much less to prevent. That's exactly why why a lot of insurance, they cover doctor visits a lot higher than they do like for checkups, than they do for actual emergency room visits, because it's proven that preventative maintenance and preventative measures are much less costly. Over half of all consumers report that they view companies who have taken time to notify them more favorably. So, if you do have this problem, people definitely want to be notified, rather than not knowing if they were ones that were exposed or not. Um, 84%, view them as secured leaders. Two-thirds of consumers believe it's the responsibility of the breach company to inform them. And at least 35 states have enacted the data breach disclosure laws. Michigan is one of those, by the way. So current threats and concerns, there's lots out there, and there's lots of different names for it. Viruses are one thing, and I'm going to give the basic definitions too, because most people don't actually know the differences. A virus is something, this malicious thing, this bad thing, sometimes not bad, but a virus attaches itself to existing files. If you get a virus like a Word doc virus, the actual Word document file has been altered, and there's extra code or extra programming information in there that makes it do something extra. That's what a virus is. Spyware, if you hear spyware, if you hear malware, those are really interchangeable terms. And those are programs that are installed on your computer. They're not like a virus where they attach themselves to something. They're actually programs that are installed. A Trojan can be a virus or a spyware, and that's just something that its sole purpose is to open the floodgates, and that lets other bad things in, just like the Trojan horse. Phishing, that is all these emails and things you might hear about. You're getting email from Citibank or PayPal or eBay wanting to verify your personal information. You click on a link that sure looks like it's real and like it's really from Citibank or whoever that may be, and you're taken to a website that wants some information from you. Well, that's phishing. That's trying to lure you in and gather and take all your personal information. So some current threats and concerns to watch out for. These things are all fake. These things are all bad. UPS shipment notification alerts. Click here to verify your personal information. There's the new you have a new e-card message. PayPal account notifications, like I mentioned before, and yes, there's even an email we've seen out and about the Obama sex tape. This is just bad stuff. Don't open those. Usually opening these emails isn't going to hurt, but if you click on anything in the emails, any links, any attachments, that's where the bad stuff's going to be. But they are tricky, so as a rule of thumb, avoid these, especially the UPS. That's not how UPS works. You don't get an email that has that kind of information in it. Some other ones out there are like patches, especially from Microsoft and from us. Microsoft is never going to send you an email with a link to a patch to download. Neither will we, and you'll never get any emails with a patch itself attached saying, please run this. That's just not how things work. So anything like that, even if it sounds similar or kind of fishy or suspicious. Also, we get asked all the time, this is confirmed by Snopes.com to be a real virus, and pass this to all your friends. And we're asked all the time, are they real? Are they real? A lot of the times they are. A lot of the times they're actually for old viruses. But the response is always the same, is if it's an email you're not expecting, if it's an email with an attachment you're not expecting, if it's an email from someone that don't follow any links, don't open any attachments, the response is always the same. And it's really just, getting to understand what you need to do with email. If it looks like it might be real, chances are it's still probably not, because you have to think about not only who you're getting the email from, but is that really something that they're going to send and have me do from an email? The most common ones we see with websites are the pop-ups.